tribulations, my heart, my balls, my somebody stop, somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The dark, the light, my heart, the fight, the wrong, the right is gone.
Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel Legger here representing Team JVS. I'm back here again for another documentary review. The name of this one is called I Am Greta. Now, this is about Greta Thunberg. Probably heard about her maybe back in 2018, between 2018 and 2019. But this is the synopsis reads as far as the documentary. The documentary follows a teenage climate activist, Greta Thunberg, on her international crusade to get people to listen to the scientists about the world's environmental problems. So, the thing about this, I feel like was so important and pivotal, is more so to do with the person's reasoning. Like Greta's reasoning why she's doing everything that she's doing, why she's pushing, why she's motivating herself. As far as the cinematography was fine. I give credit to the directors and the people that were filming her throughout these hard times, these amazing times, like these wide scope moments. Like, and as far as like the audio, like I don't know, they had to have had like a microphone in her on all times, or had like a boom mic close to her. As far as the audio was impeccable. Like, I mean, there was never a moment, whatever the circumstance, that they weren't able to get the audio well. And then the cinematography, as far as most of the things that were happening, it was pretty natural. There is a amazing song that happens around the third act, which is one of the most emotional moments in this. And I believe it was The End of the World by Billie Eilish. And the thing about this film that I didn't realize until maybe like a few seconds of the second act was that she has autism spectrum. So she has selective autism in a sense that for her it was very serious at certain instances in time, where it got to the point that she became very depressed. She wouldn't eat, she wouldn't say anything. She still has, certain compulsive moments, but you wouldn't know. But the reason why I bring this up is because of how the narrative flows. From the very beginning, you see her, going to the parliament and essentially going and doing a strike, not going to school. And I mean, one of the most interesting conversations she has early on is this older lady. She's like, this is very important, like go to school, and like you are the option to make change. At this point, me and my old age, we've lost it. And basically Greta's perspective is that we are all lost at this point because people are dying every day, young or old. Something needs to be done now. So her motivations are that, she's just going to sit there and do this as long as she possibly can. And from that point, other people start to watch her, other people start to go and travel around her, and then it starts to just blossom. At the point that she went to the major, which conference was it? I think it was the COP24 conference. And she got to speak in front of everybody. She had a conversation where her dad was basically like, well, they're not going to follow us after this, and that was not the case. Matter of fact, like, it just blew up. And I think the way to actually see it, like, naturally just kind of just happened, it was astonishing. But at the same exact time, it as a dad, it brought me to this place of just concern and worry, because my worry was her temperament, her stress level, because she's very engaging, but at the same exact time, every single speech that she did or gave or conversation she had, if it was in front of like the political scene, was very abrasive, very in your face, very like spitfire. Like, it was, I'm not gonna say it was fire and brimstone, but it was like really intensely stated. Sometimes some of the statements were just as is. It wasn't like based on, the percentages of things that are happening or like the consequences of the climate change. It was more so just delivering a message for a specific moment, just to get attention, so that this is not something that's avoidable at this point. And I was like, I commended her, but then I was like looking at it from the perspective of the dad, and him going along with his daughter, and knowing that she has autism spectrum, knowing she has a prior connection with depression, lack of eating. Anybody that knows, going to a convention or Six Flags or anything like that, you're gonna lose sleep, you're gonna lose patience, you're gonna lose like your thought process to go and eat. Those go out the door, and she's traveling all over, and like just watching moments where she was just not eating, or like she would go through. There was one moment that broke my heart, because she was reading some of the posts from different people that were questioning, her understanding of what was going on. Not just that she was a kid, but that she was lacking because of her mental condition. And then it was another scene that happened where the politicians, different people, started saying these terrible things about her. And like she was just digested. She was laughing it off and dancing it off. And I was like, this has got to be playing a toll on her. Like at a certain point, as the dad or the mom, like I don't know what I would do, because I understand her motivations. I get it, but it was breaking my whole heart, because I mean, she hadn't changed from the beginning. Like it's always been the same. But people were coming for her whole entire existence because she was making a true difference. The whole point of this was not to point out facts of what is the plan to fix this, what is the need for this in this specific moment to do this. The whole point was to get attention and eyes on the circumstance, to try to open the people that are higher above to do something, to implore them to try to do something. And it wasn't a slight on her capability of understanding of what maybe certain plans to do, but she didn't go down that road. She was like, this is the message that I'm giving, and this is the reason why I'm giving it. Whether or not people understood it or took it, it was one thing or not. This is the other thing about this film, is that for years, people have been talking about climate change. People have been talking about like the seriousness of what is happening, like the forest fires, like the tsunamis, countless losses of life, countless losses of jobs and opportunities for livelihoods for families and future generations, based on just what's going on right now. It's fact. Like, it's not fake news, it is real. The hard part about this is now, in my I ain't gonna say how old I am, let's just say now how old I am, I can imagine myself, going to like one of these conventions or rallies and like vocalizing my perspective on it. The issue has always been is that people for a moment, see something that's important and they kind of ride the wave. But this needs to be looked at something completely different. The way that I would basically kind of, and I know I'm two-stepping, but the reasoning for this documentary is to get to this fundamental understanding and to understand this person, because it's not a character, this is real. Like everything that she's doing, everything that she went through, specifically the third act, which was the hardest thing to watch. There's a moment where she just literally breaks down. She's like, this is too much. This is such a responsibility. I just want to go back to my routines. Why she brings up routines, because that's something from a mental standpoint, like it helps maintain her capability to go through the day And that's not what she's been doing. She's been pulled in every single direction, as it were. The way that I would look at it is, imagine our world, and you got, let's make it easier. You have somebody that you know for a fact, they are an alcoholic, and the first thing that needs to be taken care of is they have to admit to themselves that they have an actual problem. Then they actually need to have people around them that will motivate them, that will stand in the gap with them. I would always encourage prayer, and also the next step after that would be, of course, to go and seek treatment, go into rehab if need be, figure out what's the best regimen after that point, and then you start from fresh. Then you go and do the routines, and you go and do the trials, and then you start life all over again. That same exact motivation needs to be the way that we need to look at our world. As though right now our world is suffering from an addiction. Whether it is our addiction to need natural resources, or need to have everything, or maneuvering, bulldozing everything, whatever it is, that is something that's an actual fundamental problem. Then, the second step is really only thing that she was doing, which is have a group of people that will accept that and will not compromise one way or another, right? That's good. I always put God in it after that. But the next step is actual rehabilitation. The rehabilitation comes with the people, and I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about everybody. You have to have other people behind you, putting you, because if it's our world, we're residing in it, then there has to be real change. Like, that's the only way that it can work. Like, we have to be put into a place of rehabilitation. Our world has to be put into rehab. And this is the thing. Even if you get put to a place of rehab, doesn't mean the person won't backslide. That means you have to have people that are going with breath and life to go and motivate you. Going and making sure you go back to rehab. Going, whether it is making sure you're checking out what's going on with our animal population or our plant population, or what's going on with what we're doing as far as with using natural resources. There has to actually be a concrete place of rehabilitation. Because the reason why I bring that up is one of the things that she was consistently seeing throughout most of the time is like there was like a wave. And then there were different politicians that were riding that wave as well, and saying and laughing and smiling. And that happens every single time with everything that's important in the world. The media will go and rally behind it, and boost it up. And for a spill, the media will give its attention, and the world will give its attention, and then it'll just go away. And the problem never fundamentally goes away. And that's the reason why, in this situation right now, as far as being a black man, and right now what's going on with our nation, that is something I am praying that we are in a place of rehabilitation right now. We are in rehab, and we're not just riding a wave. Because that was the biggest thing about this, as far as this documentary, that I was like, the way that they filmed this and what she went through, she wasn't trying to ride a wave. She was trying to be something as a collective for this world, to actually say, I'm going to stand beside you by any means necessary, no matter who says what, to make sure you don't die, to make sure you come out better, to make sure you don't backslide. Because what happens to you happens to all of us. And that's true for anybody that's an addict. Anybody. That when you go through something, it don't just affect you, it affects everyone around you. The difference is this is our world, and of course it affects us. So that's one of the biggest pivotal things I got from this, which is so powerful. And so prevalent in this specific climate right now, that we can't just ride the wave. We can't just look at this documentary and just ride the wave. Like, it has to be actual change. I personally know for a fact that everything that she's talking about, everything that's going on with what she's rallying behind, is absolutely true. What can I do about it? I'm not going to just say I'm riding the wave. But at the same exact time, there has to be practical application to push forward with it to put us in a place of rehabilitation. I could go and definitely start to do other things like recycling and doing certain things as far as with my home and resources and choosing to do certain things, but man, like what she did, what her family did, she she has a calling. She's got a calling, and I think that what she did truly did make a difference. My prayer with this documentary is that it will not just kind of get overlooked, because this did happen like 2018, 2019, and 2020 has just been a whole nother thing. Like 2020 feels like 2 years has already passed, to be quite honest with you. And so that means that doubles down just 4 years almost, feels like. So right now, I really do think that this is something that can be connective tissue to certain circumstances, and I think that the way that they actually did bring it out as a story and also show like everything she was kind of processing through as being something that is a facilitator of this world, that the blood and the sweat and the tears and the pain, and the thing again, she has, you know, a condition, and that condition, I mean, everything that's kind of being put on her or around her, like I can only imagine the stress and the strain that it was putting on her, and that was what was hurting me. It was legit hurting me watching it. Yeah, and it was a moment where she was like having a conversation with her dad about something she was writing up or whatnot, and like she just wouldn't, like she couldn't stop because she wanted to get it right, and he was saying this doesn't matter, it's okay. And several moments like this happened throughout, given what she's going through. But it was a moment she just was like, she broke down. And the thing about her as an individual that I could see, I couldn't see that much because they kept cutting. Like I can, bro, if it was me, I would have said, get those cameras out of my face. But there was never a moment that I didn't notice her trying to push past her condition or her limitations, or like even like her being in her worst moment. Like she was consistently, even though she wasn't saying it, you could tell she was attempting to push past it because she was looking at the end of the road, which is important than anything else. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this review. Go and check it out. It's going to be on Hulu on November the 13th, available for everybody. And again, I am in awe of what they did with this one and what she really did. Go and check out I Am Greta as soon as you can. Peace, guys.